will do our flag salute downstairs. We will meet our student representatives downstairs. So we'll move to the superintendent's report then.
I'm sorry, Irene, we just got audio now. I haven't started the meeting for the public.
Okay.
Just
You don't have to.
Yeah, you don't. Start.
Right, I'll just keep moving and just say what I need to say downstairs in the regular session. Okay, so we're gonna go to Dr. Shabankowitz and have the superintendent's report first.
Okay, thank you. So I do have the HIP summary report, which I'll get downstairs. But I just two things I want to mention up here. One, I don't know if you heard, but we had not our employee, but almost could have been gentleman Harry Kramer, who worked for the Projects Extend program with the town at Wayside, been there for a long time, just really terrific person. Unfortunately passed away last week. So I just wanted to mention that and acknowledge that. And, you know, I know that for those who been part of the Project Extend program at Wayside.
There were some very nice postings.
Yeah, which are very good.
He was fantastic. Both my kids went to that program.
Very good person. It's a big loss to not just the program, but the community. So we'll miss him. Best to his family. And then the other thing I wanted to mention, remember about, I don't know, 2-3 years ago, we mentioned getting involved with the good folks at the Monmouth polling group. Alex said, you were involved with that. Well, we didn't do it last year because the class didn't run. But I said running this year, and we are in fact going to do it. And so we've met with them, and we're actually meeting on Monday with the class. They're coming over here to meet with us as the client. And so what we're going to be doing is they're going to be conducting some polling with our middle school parents on sort of what you'd be looking for in a high school experience, you know, that kind of thing. So we thought that would be very valuable information to have to try to make sure that you know, we're maximizing the kids out of middle school heading to high school. So I think this will be a great project for the students, and I think will give us some very valuable information, which would be terrific. So myself and as well as Ms. Kasuba and Mr. Amato will be meeting. So we'll be the clients. So they bring the class over and they, you know, we act in that capacity. And then I think when it's all said and done, Patrick Murray, who runs the Polling Institute, will come over and share the process and some of the data with our statistics classes.
Nice.
When I say when it's all said and done, probably after the semester, because that's when I'll time to do it. And so that'll be good. This should be really great for all parties. Just want to mention that. So, well, we're kind of starting it, and it's happening Monday.
Very good.
Can I just ask, this is the one that like they used to have places from far away that they used to do this with, right? So it's kind of an honor.
I don't know about
right,
far away. I know they do. They work with the Y. I think the Y. They've worked with a group in Asbury Park. Was it World's Cup maybe? Or the Y. I'm not sure. I honestly don't know if people far away.
Awesome.
But this will be great. This will be a really great experience for not only their kids to learn in an authentic environment, but then our students to be able to meet with them. You know, I mean, Patrick Murray is, you know, he's a machine.
Very nice for something else.
Is he?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Great guy.
Yeah, very good job.
Weren't they also going to help us with some of our polling though too?
What's
Like,
that? I'm sorry.
weren't they also going to help us with
That was not really
writing?
that was not something that really could be part of it. We talked it through with them. I mean, this is really to facilitate the class, and what they really need to do. They look for one project and they look for something. This is sort of like an entry level class for them at the college level. So it's really pretty. They like to keep it pretty basic, you know, pretty
Great.
basic level. So just, yeah, it should be great, and we're excited about it.
Very good. Anything else?
No, anything else? I'll talk about.
Great. Ms. Tribble? Small business administrators report.
I just have two items. First meeting in February, we're going to start the budget process where we're going to start presenting everything for the board to take a look at. It's a month earlier than we did last year, but I think it's going to give us an opportunity to really understand what's embedded inside. Okay. The other thing is, I am still working with the architects on, the facilities audit, which they do want to come in and present, to the board. But I did not get any real feedback about 163 Monmouth Road and what we would like to do there. And considering we're going into the budget cycle, I think that's going to be something that we really need to decide. You know, if we're staying here, we have to make investments in the fire escapes, the HVAC system, the roofing. So,
when do you want us to take a preliminary vote on the three choices that we went over last year?
is there any, well, I didn't get
Three
any
weeks ago?
conversations, right? I didn't get any questions. So if there's any questions, you know, I would like them, if we can get them to me by this week, I can get them to the architects and then we could vote on it on the seventh.
February 7th.
On what to do with this building.
Yes.
Not
And
the
then
Which of
land.
those options,
From the three
correct?
options.
What's of those options are not, correct?
I mean, if you don't want to do anything, yes,
If we.
but then we have to come up with the money to make the
No, I
the
understand that. I'm not
improvements
saying-
here.
I'm just saying,
But we will hear like a big old spiel longer than their last one, right?
No.
No?
I wasn't planning on, no.
How are we gonna get the answers to our questions?
Oh, you give them to me,
Uh-huh.
and then I'll
Sure,
provide
it's
it to
the
them, and then if they need to come in to explain that, I was just gonna send emails out as
Oh.
informational to the board, but if we want them to come in on February 7th, we could do that.
Let's see what kind of questions
Okay.
come in first before we make that decision then.
Yeah.
Anything else?
That's
Mr.
it.
Rubel? Great. The presentation of minutes, are we? Just if there's. Right, we can. Where's our public comment? In the, where,
I think it's-
I thought there was.
Took it out.
Oh, public comment is at the end,
Yeah,
yes,
it's only
Right.
one. in one
only one,
page.
and then the two downstairs, okay. So we will do the minutes downstairs then. And our financial management and resource services. Mr.
so I won't read them in the interest of time, but there are 5 items for discussion, including 7.3. Call your attention to that since we were talking about that in this meeting, stadium lighting. We didn't have,
I don't, yeah, I'm like, we didn't talk about that.
just in general, it was just like it wasn't an agenda item. It came up, maybe it wasn't the last meeting. maybe
It
the
was,
meeting
we
before
talked
that.
about, the lighting,
No,
or
you guys
maybe
talked
we
about it
talked
in
about the
agenda.
lighting.
Oh, okay, I'm
I'm
sorry.
like, what?
So any questions on these? Any
Yes,
questions for Tina?
I think it was just that on the lights.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, let's talk
Since
about the-
7.3.
yeah, let's talk,
Yeah, make sure you're in work.
because we've
meeting,
been, that's been in the wish list, right, for like 4 years, and obviously that's not happening.
It's extremely expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Department of Community Affairs opened up a grant process for a very short window. So when I saw it, I applied to it. We can get up to $100,000 to help fund the lighting. But it would mean that we would need to take money out of our maintenance reserve, which we've been putting away little by little each year. So there is an economic component, you know, so they're gonna look at the districts
Meaning Jaime.
Yeah.
Get a great.
preference, but it also depends on how many people applied, and this wasn't really well known. So our county business administrator mentioned it, and, you know, a couple of districts said, look,
Yeah,
we'll
I
definitely do
think
it.
we took the
Yeah.
approach of let's throw it out there, let's
Let's
see
do
what
it.
happens, and if we get it, great, and then we can make some decisions. If we don't, it didn't hurt, and we move on.
What's the total cost again, Tina?
330.
To do the work. That's the whole thing, that would cover the whole thing.
So
The
just-
poles, the lights, the whole.
So, I mean, it certainly would still require a fairly large local investment, but, you know, if we could get 100, if we could get 30% of the cost to do it, you know.
Oh, no, that was my question.
Yeah.
The grant is 330, total is $1 million.
No,
No.
the grant is
No,
100,
the
the
grant's
total is 230.
Oh.
The lights
So
are
why
getting
does
to
it
the
say
point where-
Tina grant from the New
Tina, are
Jersey
they the
Department of-
original?
I don't
On
understand.
the top of the
They're all the
resolution,
original?
Yeah. And what it allow.
Yeah, it said approximately $330,000 to carry out a project. What am I missing?
You're not
That's the
missing
whole
anything. She's
project.
right.
That's the whole. project.
Natalie's right, though. The wording in that
The
is,
wording is wrong.
We're gonna-
Well, that was from them. All right.
Because we're not asking
The
for
wording says we're asking.
No, 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 we're only gonna get up to, if I can get to 330, if they have the money, we might, I don't know.
Okay.
Absolutely,
But
there's a possibility.
they told me how to fill it out.
Oh.
There's a will there.
Um,
But it is the original, they are the original lights, they are not LED. They cost a lot to run.
Right.
So,
and presumably we'd have to get energy efficiency lights, and is that part of the grant, or they don't care?
no, absolutely, no.
No,
We care about that. Yeah.
Yes, okay.
And
So
other-
you want to just mention the ROD grant real quick?
Yeah, the ROD grant is another grant that has been reopened. You can get up to 40% on big construction projects. So we also prepared that with the architects. We need to get the resolution approved. And we put in for 2 of our roofs, Wayside and Dow. The roofs, remember, when we did the solar, there were over $11 million back then.
And we only want to do 2, or do you want to add the building to it?
Right now, I think this is the best thing to do because I don't want to take everything out of the capital reserve. Because if I can do another project like with an ESIP, which is lighting, boilers, things like that, I want to have a little bit of money because you have to show that you have local funds to meet it.
And that would be the state's like energy program. Yeah.
Correct.
ROD grants were, as Tina said, they're coming back. They were out
Yeah.
there for a little while and then they
They
went
went
away
away.
during COVID and
Yeah.
now they're coming back. So we're truly back.
Brian for that. Any other items under finance?
I think the others are pretty- something's great.
We'll move to instruction.
And as you just say Maxim Health is ceasing to operate.
Correct.
and that's why-
Yeah, that was.
Correct. We had that discussed that, yeah.
Doing away with that. Instruction, education and student activities.
A couple good ones.
Yeah.
8.1 through 8.10 were published in advance. Any discussion?
That's the way
I
it
love
should
it.
be done.
Love it.
They're asking me how to do that.
Yeah, a couple
8.2,
things I'd like to
Yes.
go over, if it's okay.
please.
So 8.2, new courses that we're looking to offer at the high school. So a couple new AP classes and ELA enrichment, which is great. And, you know, we're always excited about any courses we offer, but we're particularly excited. College Board put out a pilot program to start offering AP African American Studies. We applied for that pilot program and were accepted by the College Board. So we're going to start offering that program next September. So that's great.
And we are-
Just so the kids will test, but the scores in that test will not count for the first, because it's a pilot program. We are also, just so everybody knows, we are also looking at a virtual option for anyone from Florida who would like to. take
That's
the course.
what I was gonna say.
So,
Like, because we're not Florida.
if anyone would like to,
We're really
if
excited.
anyone out there from Florida is listening, if you'd like to take the course, give us a
Take our
call.
AP course.
Thank you,
And
Roger.
April pre-calc is also, I believe that is accepted throughout the country, so. But that's another course we're looking to offer, so we're excited about that. And,
Good course.
you know, we do have to guarantee 20 students in the course. To have it work, have it run and have it operate, so I don't think we're gonna have a problem. So we're excited.
Are we the only ones in the county or
I
something?
don't
like that?
know if others have applied, but I'm not sure about that.
If we find that out, can we like, you know, celebrate that? Promote it?
Yeah, I'll have to see, yeah, I don't know. I can't imagine that there are schools in the county that have applied to be part of it. And I also can't imagine that College Board is saying
I know.
no.
Mhm.
So
Right.
so that's great. So we're excited about that. The other thing that we're very excited about is 8.4. So this really is, I think, Ms. Kazuba, and Mr. DiPasquale really kind of brought this thing forward for everybody. This is a program called Lifelines that does exist in a couple of the school districts right now. It's a school-based suicide prevention response program. What it involved, we would look to, and it's a full component of staff professional development. There's a parent component, and there's also embedded in the curriculum for students. This is done at all levels. So this is elementary, middle, and high, right? And obviously it's different in the various levels, but it's typically embedded into health and, health curriculum, which is usually we talk about some of these things anyway, right? So we're doing a lot of this work as it is. But what this does is the good folks from the Monmouth County Mental Health Association will come and train the crisis teams in each building will be trained in these protocols. And then after that, like I said, there'll be a parent piece to this. And then there's some curriculum work that has to be done that Ms. Weldon gets involved in, and then it's embedded into the curriculum. And it's to, promote kids to, of course, obviously being able to identify students who are struggling. And if they are struggling, to provide those students with the resources they need to get healthy. So that none of us are sitting here discussing the trend. Right? So we're really excited about this. It costs the district $0. This is free to the district. And I think you have the agreement there, so you see what it entails. So the training would start as early as this February in service. So it'll start in a few weeks, and it'll continue throughout the rest of the school year, and then the actual implementation. So this is exciting.
I just wanted to say, we talked about this a little bit on wellness last time, Jennifer Battle talked about it.
And Anthony's going to give a bigger update next week.
Yeah. And they were very excited about it, so I'm glad to see it came to fruition. And
Yeah, we met with all the principals and everybody met with the County Health Association. Everybody's very excited.
You said all levels elementary, but this says grades 5 to 12. Were you considering?
No, it's elementary as well. So I'll have to talk because
It
the
says-
elementary
okay.
principals.
Because this says evidence-based
Evidence-based,
curriculum grades
right.
5 to
I'm
12.
reading in the it's not in the.
Yeah, so I'm just
Yeah.
curious how young.
I'll check with them because, but I know it's all. So
As young as first or like third and fourth?
I have
Yeah,
to
just-
double check it, but I mean, it's certainly all the schools are.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And if we have to make an adjustment.
For 8.10. They're just going to New York.
This is, this is the club, this is the Spanish club, and then, and so all the AP Spanish classes, it's just gonna be made available to those students. It's not a requirement, this is not a curricular trip. And, we kind of struggled with this one because the cost is pretty high. They're going into the city, I think they're seeing a show, I think they're eating at a Spanish restaurant where they'll speak Spanish and do all that. So that's why the cost is as high as it is. We usually, some of these trips, but to kids in classes to make them go and it becomes sort of a curricular thing. So it really is only the club at this point. So that's what it is. They go into the city, they see the show.
Awesome.
It's a nice trip. I mean, it's a nice trip. It's just obviously it can be cost prohibitive.
They are going to fundraise for it.
Yeah, they're gonna do some fun. Yeah,
Yeah, it's just the way this reads.
it's like go down.
Looks like they're just going to New York. Yeah. So it's just the way this reads. It's like, we're going to New York. You know?
Hey,
And then
need
when
we
we
say
get there,
more? I mean, New York is New
what
York.
a place. When we get there, we're coming back.
Exactly. If you can make it there, you can make it anywhere.
And then,
If you go under admin comment
oh,
content on yours, it actually shows.
Okay.
Yeah. Down.
And unless there's any questions on it.
I'm
You just
busy with
don't make
modern art. There you go.
Yeah.
Loma.
They do a moment too?
No, I'd love to go.
Okay, they're going to moment.
I have a quick question, 8-7. Awesome that our wrestlers are going to state championships.
I'm sorry. So just what this is sort of a preemptive or a preliminary, I should
Oh, they
say.
haven't made it yet.
So we do this every year in anticipation that students will make it. They haven't made it yet. Because they just haven't had the competition, but if we don't approve the trip and book the
Gotcha.
rooms now, we will lose out.
That's fantastic. My question is, there's like one female student, right? On the wrestling team.
One
So
or two.
So they're not sharing rooms with anybody, correct? It just says.
If we would not, so are you meaning that a female student would share a room with a male student?
Correct, that won't happen. Thank you. Okay.
Do we get a refund if the wrestlers don't make it?
We,
don't
yes, because you can book the rooms. It's kind of like
They
school
always
board,
make
we
it.
book a bunch of rooms and if somebody doesn't go.
She doesn't think that way.
But if we don't approve this now, it'll be too late. Once we find out You know, because the problem is you don't know, because they go to, there's the regional, you know, they start at the districts, then they go to the regionals, and then eventually what's up. This is every year.
I was wrestling that. I never made it to state championships. So just
That is shocking to me.
shocking.
You do, my friend, you do.
There are no further questions. We'll move to personnel.
We did personally.
Personnel. Got that? Okay, let's go down to our policies.
10.1, 10.2 were presented ahead of the meeting. Boom.
So I think we
Anybody has any
made
questions?
changes to,
10.1, just so we're clear, those are all of the changes that were recommended and put forward by Strauss Esme, but 10.2 is specifically regarding the changes that were discussed in the last meeting pertaining to our election process to make that more succinct. And this is the second reading. The final reading will be done downstairs.
Excellent.
Good.
Thank you, Mr. McCarthy. Public relations. Says.
11.2, Board of Education and Administration will discuss the following resolution from the Monmouth County School Board Association declaring January School Board Appreciation Month. I'm gonna read this one.
I would
Downstairs,
recommend you read it
downstairs.
downstairs.
Okay. I'll have, okay, gladly.
So are we, because I mean, I think that's the purpose, right?
Yeah.
I love everything you. 11.2, then are we
Yeah,
doing
for
the same
Fran,
thing?
no, Fran is here.
Fran's here.
I think Fran is on, right?
11.2, we're going to hear from the District Communication Information Coordinator.
So, so Fran is with us, and so what Fran's provided sort of the report year to date on some of, our social media posts and other, public relations items that she's gotten out. We've also included the website, and if you could follow that document, well, you got, there's a lot of things moving. But, we'll talk a little bit about, and then the top 25 web pages that have been visited. So that gives you, you guys broke the top 10. Which is really nice. You're up to 8. Congratulations.
Because we just go back to.
Because you guys rock, and not like Wayside does, but anyway, so I think if we can bring Fran on and maybe Mary Ann, if you could pull up that January report, and Fran could go over sort of the year-to-date things.
Hello, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Fran, how are you?
Okay, how is everyone?
Good.
On the report, as you can see on the left, those are some of the top posts that we've had since September. It includes information that you can't see when you look at the Facebook page. So you could see how many people were reached with each post, the reactions that people have, comments and shares. And then if you look to the right, the number of people that follow the page since my first post in March has improved by 552 people. And just to let you know, I'm actively recruiting people. So if you look at the left, all of the people that react to those posts, I have the ability to see if they are already following the page or not, and I can invite them to join the page. So it's like an ongoing process to get more people to follow our Facebook page. And then that increases all of the reactions, comments, and shares with the more people that we have. One of the things that the board members could do to help is if you share some of the posts that we have, or you like them, or you make some of these reactions, more people can see it. And then I have the ability, if they like it, to invite them to join our page. Some of the top performers, the boys soccer team had the most reach since September out of all the posts. Mrs. Kruger, when she entered the Hall of Fame, that had the most likes and reactions, and the Teachers of the Year got the most comments out of all the posts on Facebook. Some of the news articles in the coaster are listed here, and then I'm in the works with a few of the other articles that are listed there coming up in the next couple of weeks. So all of the different things that we put out to the reporters, they decide what goes in the newspaper or not. So a lot of the things that we send them will never really see a newspaper, but everything gets sent to them and they decide what they're going to put in. And then we had Channel 12 News in the beginning of the school year come out, and they broadcasted the whole day from the Ocean Township High School on the Holocaust cattle car. And down on the bottom are just a few things that I was able to print out from the Facebook page that you aren't able to see. It's just how our reach is going up and our visits are going up since September. Part of that is because the summer, we don't have as much on the Facebook page as we would during the school year. So that's to be understood there. So that's really it. If anyone has any questions.
Yeah, I think, when we look to see the reach that we're getting and the exposure that we're getting, I think in large part due to Fran's efforts, we're seeing, very steady growth of the social media, presence, which is really terrific. So thank you for that. Very much appreciated.
Thank you.
Fran, great job. When we send pitches to local news, are they in like press releases that might not make it to like web back? Like, is there anything the newspapers might see that we don't post?
Yes, a lot of like the things that are on the left there, some of the photos they'll just put in the newspaper, specifically the coaster will often do that. So a lot of those will go that are not in press release form.
But anything that's a press release form goes on our website?
Not always.
Is it possible to get us on your distribution list?
That would be
Or
up to
press release?
Dr. Stefankowitz. That would be up to
Many of the things do. Some we just put out for social media, but some things, I think a lot of the things we do. But yeah, sure, we can certainly.
Not if they're just pictures. I mean, but if
Yeah,
it's an
the
actual
more
press
press
release
release,
with
sure.
quotes and whatever,
Sure.
I mean, does anyone not want to
No,
see that?
No, that's things we can do.
Just to see it, or you?
Well, because if it doesn't make it, we don't know that there's a press release out there touting something
Most of
awesome.
the time when there's a press release, there's been also some social media that she's done. Like
Mhm.
most of the things here, there's a press release, but there's also been some social media that's gone out. So, but yeah, I mean, we can absolutely put any press release that it does on our website as in the news section. We can absolutely.
That's in addition to what I was asking. I was just asking for us, but
Oh, no.
putting it
should
on the actual
be- it
website
should be there.
would be
Yeah, it's no problem.
phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes we have to see what it is, and if it's, because we only have so much room under news. There's only 6 things. That we
Yeah.
can do. So sometimes, we take a look at it, but if it's something, like, for example, we had the Holocaust cattle card story that we had on the front page. Some of the other ones, we limit them primarily to the our social media page, and Frank sends them out to see if they get any distribution.
And then who's doing the web pages?
I can go over those.
Okay.
So, thank you, Fran.
Thank you.
Thanks, Fran.
Thank you. So I can do that. So if you look at the website behavior page, and I know it's kind of like a big, yeah, we made it complicated on purpose, but so you kind of have to just follow it, sort of left to right, So what that basically tells you is from the beginning of the school year to now, we've had about 184,000 hits to the website. Right, so and that doesn't mean 184,000 people, obviously. It's that people have reached out to our website 184,000 times. I'm probably like 112,000. But so that's what it is. And then if you go down below, you start to see. So that's where people are starting. So every time then it goes, you go from left to right. You kind of see where people start, where they are specifically going, and where their actions go. So they started off at the website. And then after say one, then from there it drops off by so many thousand per as they click on it. So you'll get things like, where are people going to most frequently? And that it really coincides with then the top 25. Where are people going? Parent student pages, the athletic page, those are the ones that, registration pages, those are the ones that more often than not are getting the action. The individual school sites, they see that, that particular action, and that's where, that's where. So you kind of see the flow as where they start. Calendar gets a lot of action. People looking on to see when different events are taking place.
If somebody goes right through Genesis, does that count as a website page?
I don't believe
Like I have
so.
it saved as a favorite, so I just go
Yeah,
right to
I
the
don't
portal.
believe
That's
so.
not
I
a
don't believe
website
so.
hit, right? But if
I think if you access it
I
through
went
the
to the
site,
website and then went to parents,
yes, I
that
believe
portal,
so.
it was- okay.
I don't think so. But then if you pull up, Marion, if you could pull up the top 25, please.
Yes, you just.
Okay, great. And then if you pull up the top 25, this is in September. So we see that, and this is, this is pretty consistent with previous years and analyses that we've done. So obviously the homepage, calendars, looking for events, parent student from parents' perspective, the athletic pages, the individual high school page, then the parent student from the student, the student side of that. Board of Ed there at number 8, the intermediate school, the food services, then some of the individual elementary schools. So this gives you an idea of where people are going. Yeah, that's good. That's a good thing. People are looking up the administration. That's a good thing. Unless they have questions that they are sending to places that they shouldn't be sending, in which case they should be looking up the administration. So.
One of the reasons why I was hoping, and I think I or the PR committee asked for the top web pages is not only to see some of the ones, that nobody visits. So hopefully that's another discussion that perhaps we can combine some. So,
Sure.
so some things aren't like 12 clicks until you get to something that nobody even is ever that nobody ever looks at.
Right.
But like for those who may or may not know, like most of these are vanity URLs. So where it says parents __ students, that's a vanity URL as opposed to cms1.aspx page, all those phone numbers. Being that this is kind of what I do, it would be a lot easier in terms of promoting some of these pages on our own correspondence and communications if we make everything vanity pages. Like if there's a district calendar page, like I see there's one that says calendars, but like the Board of Ed should just be like /Board of Ed. And so then whenever we have to hyperlink and stuff, it just makes things a lot cleaner, a lot easier, and then easier for searching. I would just hope that I know it's an easy fix. I hope that's something that we could achieve this year, like the athletic department. Portal 202-922. I mean, like, you're never gonna find that on Google. That won't give you like a Google hit, for example, if you're like Ocean Township Heights, so just it reinforces our brand more. If we can correct some of those. Because there's quite a bunch of them that are pretty high, but we're not properly like naming them to a
Search engine.
yeah, to make it search engine friendly, I guess.
We talked about it.
Yeah. Like how awesome would it be, instead of doing a hyperlink in one of your PDFs, if you wanted to do Ocean Township Elementary, you could just do oceanschools.com/Ocean Township Elementary. Whereas you couldn't do that on some of these because you're not going to put this 27 number URL. So,
So number 8, I'm sorry to interrupt, but just
Yeah.
so I understand,
Yeah.
I think I'm sort of getting what you're
Mhm.
doing. So instead, what number 8 would say would be like oceantownschools.org/Board of Education.
correct. And that really is like, I don't know if CMS is actually we use CMS at work. You really just rename it. So it's fairly easy. And then, because I know sometimes we seem hesitant to use hyperlinks or like tiny URLs or bit.lys, but we might prevent ourselves, we might not have to do that if we can easily just do like oceanschools.org/high school. Well, you don't need a URL shortened if that's it, but you do if it's number 8, for example.
Because I will say, when I went to go look, I was trying to look at the Board of Ed page the other day, I don't even know why I was on there, but I felt like it took forever for me to find just the people on the Board of Ed. It was a bunch of, and I know Alex always says a bunch of clicks, and I know I felt it. But it's not, it's like just gonna say, it's like.
Multiple clicks.
Well, it's also like the 7 thing.
And I do think our numbers,
Well, I'm just saying, like, I can see some of Ms. Hayes's frustration when I sometimes go on the website. I know we all say this, that, and some of it we have done, I mean, we've come a really long way. But
Mhm.
sometimes, like Spartan Schools, I know it's under our schools, OTHS Spartan Schools. But even as a parent, I know last summer when I was looking up stuff about the School of Business, because I have a student in that, it took me a minute because I went to Ocean Township High School instead of going to Spartan Schools and then not really finding, like it's in the different spots. But that's also preference, right? I'm looking for it one way, you're like, look for it.
Yeah, I mean, if, for example, like if you're looking for the Spartan schools, if you hover over our schools, it's its own separate tab.
Oh, you know,
If
that's
you,
what I'm
if you
saying,
hit
right?
select a school, it's its own separate tab. If you hover over our district and hit Board of Education, you come to the Board of Education page, and if you scroll down, board members are this seventh went down, it's.
But you, that's like, it's like rote memory for us, because we use that all the time. The average the person, I wouldn't, if I didn't know that Board of Ed was under our district, I would be searching here for like 12 minutes.
Unless, yeah, I mean, the only way to change that really, I mean, most districts either have it like that, or the Board of Ed has its own.
Okay, yep.
That's a good idea.
Mhm.
Speak to Mr. Hall.
We are limited to what we can put across, so if something goes up, something comes down.
Okay. All right, we're gonna move on then. If there are further questions, thank you, Ms. Burke, again for that presentation. Old business. Is there any old business that we'd like to discuss?
I do. So where do we stand on the student member of the Board of Education? There are quite a number of districts around us that have already seated their high
Yeah,
schooler.
Yep,
So, and I believe the last time,
starts tonight.
Tonight, they're down.
Right.
And they'll be here, and we have four, well, they're gonna be four different representatives that they'll flip flop from month to month, who will come and alternate. And they're gonna come to the regular meeting at the 8 o'clock time. That's when they will come. But they'll stay that entire time. They won't just give their report and they will stay for that. They're not gonna come to work sessions and that kind of, because, obviously it's a much larger commitment to be able to find people who are willing, ready, willing, and able to do all those things. It was tougher. So the high school administration worked with student council to that's where, so they start tonight.
it's great. Well, that's news.
Can we move to new business then? Any new
I think it is
business?
tonight. Yeah, I looked at it.
Then we'll move to the public comment section at this time. Would anyone from the public like to comment on any item at this time? Would you like to comment since you're right here in the room? Or sure, if you'll just identify yourself for the camera, please.
Fisher. Close to you already. I just have a couple questions. Now, my question is, am I asking about what we just discussed or about the election or anything? Anything, okay,
Yes.
okay. So a lot of my questions are about the election. I'm wondering why it took, and I don't know if you can answer these questions, but I wonder why it took 2 months to notice the error, because they were counting for so many weeks and 2 months later, here we are.
I know, it's very frustrating, but Ms. Fisher, what I was going to read downstairs is basically that the Board of Elections is in charge of what has happened, what has occurred, and they only notified us very recently about the error that they found. So that isn't a question that we can answer. Believe me, it is a question that we have as well, and hopefully there'll be more information forthcoming about it.
Okay, so I don't know if I have to ask the Board of Elections all these questions, but I'll just ask them anyway.
Good idea.
I just want to know, why does it only affect Clayton and Weinstein and not all the other candidates?
From the information that we received, that was the race that was the closest, initially by 20 votes, and then according to the Board of Elections, back to 1 vote.
Which is no the bigger town.
That's up to a judge. In the news today. the
Yeah, I think
Attorney
everything's recounted. I think, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. No, fine.
Go
I
ahead.
apologize. I think everything was recounted. It's just that
Okay.
the only candidates that were affected by the recount, supposedly, were those two. That's our understanding of the situation.
Okay. All right, so. I'm sorry. Okay. Let's say Clayton gets out and Weinstein gets in. Does that mean you guys are gonna have to re-vote for a new president again and start the whole process all over again?
So according to our attorney and the New Jersey School Boards Association, we continue with the members who have been sworn in at our reorganization meeting.
Okay, do you know how long it's gonna take to recount?
I wish I knew.
Okay.
I wish I knew the answer to that question.
Okay, and then I have a question about the new superintendent, because I never leave anything for. Is that,
July 1st.
sure, okay, so what is the process for superintendent? Is there more than one candidate? Do you guys draw it out of a hat? I mean, really, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's-
Oh,
All the answers you're so worried. Pull it out of it.
I'll apply if that's the case.
That's a great idea.
I just don't know how it's.
Well,
How
it's a
anybody
whole
can-
application process, and the New Jersey School Boards is helping to guide us through the process. We have engaged their help, and they have directed us. We have a committee that's been selected that does not include myself, since I'm a conflicted president. But we have other board members who are serving on that committee. And when they are ready with the presentation, they will let the public know.
Is it just one person, two people, how?
It is posted as a position, and so the number of
So
candidates
it's
that
like a
apply.
job
Right,
application.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably more rigorous than a
Yeah.
regular job application. Sorry, I
I
spoke
didn't
out
hear
of
that.
turn.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr. McCarthy, you want to?
From based on my opinion, my professional opinion, I think that it is a more rigorous interview process than other interviews that I've participated in it as an employee of Fortune 500 companies. I think that it's much more rigorous. There's more people involved. Very rarely do you have a board voting on a single hire, which is the case in this every step of the way. There isn't an action that's taken that isn't maybe not unanimously, but in a majority opinion approved upon by the entire board.
And then discussed with the parents who the candidates are, with the parents have no say in who is it.
But there
So there was
But
a,
there was a-
I'm sorry, there was a process prior where the New Jersey school boards had meetings with the public and then the public. And there was a survey that went out. So I think that's the way that they typically get input from the community prior to the process. When the process begins, it really typically is a board of education process that's mostly conducted in executive session because of confidentiality reasons. However, when the board makes an appointment, that is then done in public. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to-
Okay, that's informative.
there's also survey of the staff and administrators.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Mrs. Conway, is there anyone else in our audience who would like to speak during this public comment session?
No, President Gilman, there are no commenters.
Thank you very much. Then may I have a motion?
Motion.
To adjourn? And second, we'll see you downstairs at the regular meeting.